This is Instant Analysis presented by Tylenol Rapid Release Gel Caps. Rapid release for rapid relief. Hello, everybody. I'm Sean Reynolds from Sportsnet in Winnipeg, and this is Eric Engels from Sportsnet in Montreal. We represent two teams that not long ago looked like they had their positions in the playoffs solidified. Not so much anymore. The Montreal Canadiens making a push, and the Winnipeg Jets absolutely falling in the standings. They're tied in points in the standings right now. The Jets have an edge, having won more regulation or overtime games. Double E, who's going to finish third here?
You know, I think more important than who's going to finish third is who's going to finish playing the best hockey going into the playoffs. And right now, the Canadiens have seized some momentum, and that's critical because we've been talking about them as a team that could perform well in the playoffs all along. But, you know, they had to prove that to themselves. It's one thing to feel that and know that when you look around the room and say, wow, there's guys like Corey Perry and Josh Anderson and Shea Weber and Carey Price, and we're going to feel good about that. But if you can't get over that adversity that they were facing for a long time, it's hard to reference something when you really need it. So the Canadiens have won 3 games in a row. They've come back and winning those games. And they've done it without Brendan Gallagher, without Shea Weber, without Carey Price, without Jonathan Drouin, without Thomas Tatar and Paul Byron. And that's a huge hill to climb and something that they really did prove to themselves. So if they're going to be able to make a push and push Winnipeg out of that spot, I think that would be impressive. But more important is them sticking to the template of what they found here in these 3 games.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned adversity, Double E, because the Jets are getting a healthy dose of that right now. And for the most part, they haven't had to face that this season. It was rare for this team to lose more than 1 game. Now, all of a sudden, 7 straight losses for this team, and they are lost. It is a team that's trying to figure out its way back into playing a somewhat confident game, and they are far from that even at this stage, slowly trying to build back, but they're running out of runway, only 5 more games to do that. But I wonder, you ducked the original question. You got to give me an answer here. Who's going to finish third?
Well, I think Winnipeg's strength of schedule puts them there, and they just need to win 1 game to really get the momentum swinging back in their favor. And they're facing adversity, you're absolutely right, but there's no team that hasn't so far in the North Division. Even Toronto went through an extensive losing streak at one point and found a way to get it back on the rails, and it's about getting back to basics. Look at the Canadiens lately. They lost 9 of 13 games without Brendan Gallagher, and some other bodies started to fall, and they couldn't string 2 wins together since March before putting these 3 together. And it hasn't been easy. They've allowed the first goal in every game, and they've had to chase the game. So they're far from perfect. So I look at Winnipeg and see a team that's been pretty good for most of the season. I think the schedule caught up with them in a bit in terms of the energy they burnt when it was heavy, and now it's light, and they've been wire to wire in a playoff spot and haven't had much incentive to burn it up as they approach the playoffs, knowing what it's going to require to play there. And I think it's all normal and natural, but yes, you have to be able to pull out of it before you get to the playoffs. Otherwise, you go in there with a lot of doubt in your mind.
Doubly, there's nothing normal and natural about what the Winnipeg Jets are going through right now. The Jets 2.0 have never seen a losing streak like this. Even all those teams that missed the playoffs, they can't go back and recall a situation where they had something like this happen and pulled themselves out of it. They are in uncharted territory, but you talked about it. Strength of schedule down the stretch here, it should play a role. The Montreal Canadiens have, of their 5 games left, 2 against the Edmonton Oilers, 2 against the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Winnipeg Jets, 4 of their 5 remaining games are against teams that aren't in the playoffs, and the last one against the Toronto Maple Leafs team that is probably not going to dress much of its roster in that final game. So there's an opportunity here. There's a path to that 3rd place spot for the Winnipeg Jets to follow. The question is, can they build up the confidence to follow it?